So it was like a few days. It wasn't like the next day per se. It was like a few days.
Yeah.
And then so like that's a few days like emotionally like where do you go? Like, you say this to her. I imagine the next 4 days you're like
It was like
mentally
48,
like, okay.
72 hours, but it was literally.
But it's still that's enough to say like my whole life might change.
Absolutely. I was looking in, larger apartments, I'm like, trying to like, check all my accounts and like, all right, well, make sure this is set up. Like, okay, well, is that right? Call my brother. How's my finances? Like,
Let me say yes to another modeling job. Yeah. I'll do like an extra shift somewhere, like whatever.
I'm like, should I be manager at that bakery? Like,
right.
Get some benefits, like.
Because that's still 48 to 72 hours. It's still like that's. Right? Like your mind goes there.
Oh, I went there. I went full throttle. And I was like, all right, well, yeah, this is so much more important than all the fun I've been having and enjoying my life. So.
And then, like, do you have these conversations with her? Like, hey, I looked at bigger apartments. I'm ready to do that. Like, did she know?
No,
like,
I don't think it was. It was more like, all right, let me, get my mind right for what's to come. Like, if this is going to be really happening, let's really be prepared.
Right. And then, so when you're told, I mean, I imagine she calls you like on her way to the hospital or.
Yeah, when she called me when she was at the hospital. And I think I was working on a job.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I will leave right now. And luckily someone was there with her and she's like, I'm fine. And I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, all right. And I, went right to her, apartment after work. But.
And then, what emotions go through your mind? Like when that happens, are you, look, I mean, it's not bad to say you're relieved. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Like, are you relieved? Are you sad?
I was definitely sad. I don't think I was, I was just sad first. Like, you get the build up in your head about being a father, about like, oh, wow, I'm going to be this great person. You're picturing, being on swing sets and all these, you just have all these conceptions of what a good father is going to be and what you could do. And then it was kind of very sad to like hear the news, but at the same time, like it was very early. You can't really put all your eggs in one basket at that early of anything. But yeah, I think we were just kind of both somber, like sad, and just kind of were quiet for a bit.
Yeah.
And just sat there and
I mean, right. Like, I've never been in that situation, but I can imagine.
Me neither.
There's
until then.
A range of emotions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has this whole experience just from that changed you?
It's definitely changed.
It happens to be with someone
kids.
that was on TV and you're on TV, but regardless of that, like, it's changed you as a person?
Absolutely. I think I'll be waiting to have kids. But yeah.
Meaning, like, you don't want kids right now.
No. I wasn't ready to be a father, but I would have been ready. Like, I would have got ready.
So after this, then do you guys, like, is that it? You go through this, you're there, you're in silence, and then is it like, do you speak after that? Like, do you guys speak now?
Yeah, we kept in touch. There was a time where she was going to the doctor and making sure everything was still going, through the processes the body need to go through after something like this takes place. So, for the next couple of weeks, I was definitely checking up, like coming by, seeing if everything was okay. She's a strong woman, and she's not going to be like, oh, I need you for anything. But it was, definitely more of what I wanted to provide as far as, just making sure she was okay, mentally, physically, however, because, you don't know what to expect going through that at all.
Right.
Until you go through it. So not far after that, she started filming. So, one thing led to another thing, led to back to work thing. And, now we're just text here and there, check up, say hi. And, we cross paths in certain rooms, obviously. So.
Right. So good. Like friends.
It's all good. It's all on the up and up. There's no bad blood whatsoever.
Did she tell you, like, okay, hey, by the way, I've made a decision. I'm going to talk about this on the show. Or did you hear, hey, Lindsay talked about this last night?
I was definitely curious to know how she was going to present the information. She definitely said that, I said, hey, are you going to talk about this on the show? She's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to share it. It's my prerogative. And I was like, well, no, absolutely. It's up to you. However you want to say or whatever you want to say. I just want to be prepared. So I know who's going to be in the know and who's going to be aware of the situation as well.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think she knew that I wasn't going to be like telling my whole family about it. But at the same time, I was comfortable with whatever she wanted to take this.
And then, like, did you tell, like, people?
Well, and then it was interesting when it did come out. Like, no one told me. And I didn't know, like, if it was going to be on or if they had cut it. It was definitely kind of like
Because, I mean, you could see it being cut in a sense. Like, it's not really related to.
I mean, they use 25% of, like, what we film. And, it's definitely relevant. It's something that we go through and what she had went through. So, what was the question?
I don't even know what the question was, but we will move on. You're like, God, I didn't realize I was going to be talking about this. But no, I mean, I'm just saying, so like when it's out there on the show.
Oh, yeah. So the producer called me one of the producers called me like 10 minutes before it came on the air and like, oh, just so you know, your business is about to be like all over TV. I was like, oh, well, thanks for the call. And then, yeah.
They never call too far in advance, do they?
I mean, do they need to? It'd be nice, but.
Were you it wasn't like it was just a like FYI.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: I knew it was gonna be brought up. Right. Like I had been told, so I'm not in the blind really, other than not knowing exactly how it's gonna be put out there, when it's gonna be put out there, and really, I'm not a producer. I'm not, I don't deal with that side of anything. So I wasn't very active as well as calling and being like, hey, can you tell me what's gonna be aired, when it's gonna be aired? Because I want to know. Like it's going to be what it's going to be. I can't control this, any more or less than I've already done, which is talk to Lindsay about how she's going to share it. I wasn't aware of like the magazines and all that kind of stuff, but I knew it was going to be on
a lot of magazines. There were. So was that hard? And then like, did you have to tell everyone that you knew? I mean,
it wasn't great having like my cousins call me from like, hey, I read in People magazine. What happened? Are you okay? And I'm like, you read what? Where? And then it kind of happened for, a couple of days, but once again, it is what it is. Maybe I should have told them. Maybe I should have shared that with my family, but.
Were you upset then? Like that this was like, I don't know, like on TV?
I wasn't upset it was on TV.